So our first presenter is Tracy Mao from FNS, Child Nutrition Programs. Tracy, the floor is yours.
Okay, thanks so much, Jimmy, and thanks for joining this call. Usually now we'd start off kind of some basics with summer, but if you're on this call, my guess is that you've already either have heard of summer, kind of know how it works. Just a brief reminder, this program is administered by the state agencies, but the sponsors are really the ones that are in charge of all the financial and administrative responsibilities, and that includes the budget, and that's why we're here today. And then obviously you have the sites where the kids are actually eating, and the mission of the program is completed. So thank you for joining us. The budget is so important. When we went out and talked to folks across the country, we heard over and over about how important the budget is. It's something that the state agency looks at during the application process, and it's something that can really help sponsors understand and plan to succeed for this year and then going forward for future years, which is what we really want, is sponsors to stay on the program, get good experienced sponsors, and have that consistent place in the community where kids and families know that there's a place for children to eat in the summer when school is out. Remember that this is a reimbursement program. That is one challenge. So while there are some nuances that I'm not going to get into here about getting some advance payments to get set up, the vast majority of the payments that are going to be coming in are reimbursement for meals that are served. So it behooves everyone who's running the program to get sites that have not only a lot of kids in the beginning, for example, and kickoffs and things like that, but also have a consistent source of kids coming in, making sure that that's a great place for them to come, and a place that they know that they will get a good meal. And the way to do that obviously is with high quality meals, which obviously costs a little bit more, activities, and making sure that that kind of consistency is there and that they're known throughout the community. There's two really big elements of running the summer program that can have to be taken into consideration when budgeting. One is that the program is relatively short. Some summer programs only run for a week, but some run all summer. Obviously, the longer that the program is run, there's more opportunity to serve more meals and have a bit more of a buffer in the budget. And then also we promote open sites where any child can come, and we want to make sure that every child who comes gets a meal. So being able to predict how many kids are going to be coming to the site and getting them to come and return is really key for budgeting and forecasting what's going to happen in the future. What I want to show you today is I'm going to share my screen, and rather than showing you just some slides, because I wanted to show you what's already out there on our website. So now you should be able to see my screen here. Hopefully it says the Summer Food Service Program, and hopefully Jimmy will jump in if you guys can't see it. This is just our main home page. I'm going to click, you can see here how to help, but the summer tools that I'm going to be going to, which you guys probably already know, is the Summer Meals Toolkit. There's a ton of information in this toolkit. There's everything from doing promotional, getting the word out about your programs, getting elected leaders to support your programs, getting letters to principals, everything that surrounds that. And that's really useful because the more people that know about your program, the more people will come to your site. So here's the very long table of contents. You can see it breaks it out. Here's the kind of overall headers. I'm going to go to sponsor operations because that's what we're talking about here today. And you can see that there's budgeting for success. There's a lot of other information here, so please feel free to take a look. But I wanted to show you what we've created here for budgets specifically. So here's the kind of toolkit page that you can print out, that you can use at will. This is always available to you. And it talks about kind of how to go through and thinking through your summer program. So thinking about what are the full costs, so both what you are planning to do now and then what you plan to do in the future. If you are brand new to summer and this seems overwhelming, we highly recommend that you connect with your state agency who can connect you with the established sponsor. They can bring you on as a site this year. You can get to learn the ropes and how things are done, and then move on to being a sponsor the next year. We found that that kind of mentor model has been really useful in this getting established sponsors. So here are some things to think about with the full cost, but what I really want to do is go down to the second page, and I know there's a little bit of delay. So thinking about where your financial records are, what are those long-term goals, and then thinking about those fixed costs as well as costs that may be variable, your administrative costs, and other things that might come up in the operations of the summer program. This kind of talks about your budget overall, and I'm going to show you just another tool just to help you kind of think about what you might need. But so here, and also the key is to analyze the budget regularly. It's never good to just kind of like pull the trigger when the program starts and then not reevaluate it, because you might have more kids coming in, you might have fewer kids coming in. There might be some aspects that you might want to change. So what goes into the budget? So obviously there will be some revenues coming in. So any of the meals that meet the meal pattern for the summer food service program will be reimbursed. There's also activity fees. That might be an option if there is an activity at your site, but it might also be free. You might have grants or cash donations as well. But the key, obviously, is you have money coming in, but there's also operating costs going out. So this is the cost of the food. Everything from labor. We know that labor can be really expensive. Sometimes it's even half of the cost of the total budget, so definitely take that into consideration. Everything from, what are you going to be using to serve the kids? You see here trash removal, everything for dishes. Just really be expansive. It's better to put more things on the table at first and then restrict it down later once you're able to know what your full budget could be. And then there's also administrative costs, which need to not be neglected. So what's the cost of the sponsor's application? Don't forget your time in filling that out. So that will go to the state agency, and working with the state agency to really get that application done, get your site set up. The establishment of sites, and that includes both attending training and then giving training to the staff that are going to be there. Finding the meals, that could be either producing them yourself, so that would be creating, getting a menu together, finding out where you're going to buy that food if you're going to be a self-preparation site, which does give you an additional reimbursement, but it might not be what you're ready for, so then you could go out for a contract and find a vendor. But all of that takes time and some learning processes, but again, a lot of that information is in the toolkit to help you out. There's monitoring of the sites to make sure that your site supervisors and everything's happening as it should at the site. That's a cost throughout the summer. And then the claims for reimbursement. So it's kind of spending a little bit of money to make money, as they say. So these forms are here to help you kind of work through some of those budgets. You can obviously make your own forms. I know sponsors have very expensive forms and budgets and software. So these are just for those who are kind of struggling with this. Start with this, and then you can expand out. And obviously, you can always ask your state agency for help, or you can reach out to established sponsors and seeing kind of what they do and what their budgets are. I wanted to point out some webinars. We have one specifically about grants that are out there and unique partnerships. So that can be everything from, church down the street has a van, so you don't have to rent one if you need to get, food from one place to another or kids one place to another. We have some guidance here. We have a lot of different policy guidance that I highly recommend. But just take a look at this, and then I recommend our partner organization resources as well, and I know you're going to hear about them from them now. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and welcome the next speaker.